allow any sort of dirty Zerg conversation into this broadcast. Silly Zerg players. Speaking of Zerg players, down here in the bottom right-hand corner of Whirlwinds, we have a red Zerg player from Team Liquid. Trying to close things out for them, it's Zenio. His opponent here in the top right-hand corner is our yellow Zerg player from karont3 Esports Club, the one and only Vortex.
So, Kevin, what makes you okay with casting this game, then? Probably pretty sad, you know, it's a ZVZ.
Who said I am okay casting this game? I always hate everything about life right now.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
See, I thought that was an alley-oop into, like, because I get to see Zerg units die no matter what.
Yeah. No, because I know Zerg's going to win. See? So, that's unfortunate.
It's just so bittersweet, it has to be bitter. Kevin.
It's the way I live my life. For now, though, we have Vortex, who he took a game from Tasia. Obviously, an incredible player. Took it on Metropolis, gained himself an early advantage, and didn't really ever let up afterwards. Zenio, though, is going to present a different kind of game plan than a lot of the other Zerg players that we've seen so far. TLO obviously had some kind of wacky strats prepared for us. We also saw the Fort Queen build at times, but this, I would imagine, is going to be... I don't know. I don't really know what to expect out of Zenio here. Vortex is a guy, though, that can significantly switch things up.
Definitely the case, but both players are going to be opening with very, very quick hatcheries here. I mean, it is Whirlwind, so it's not too unexpected, but it seems like, you know, I always find it funny when you see a player go for a 15 hatch, because it's like, I'm willing to take a risk versus you. You know, we've seen more and more of these early pulls. Not necessarily from either of these. Well, Zenio, actually, I mean, he can definitely mix it in there, but there's no Startail life in this match right now.
Well, Vortex ends up going for 15 hatch, 16 gas, and then in a 16 pool afterwards. Zenio, on the other hand, ends up going for 15 hatch, 17 pool, 16 gas. So a little bit of a difference between these guys, and that is going to allow for Vortex to get a nice head start on Zergling speed. We'll actually find out here how far it's going to be along, about 15 seconds faster, something like that. It does give him a legitimate opportunity to sneak in there with a few extra lings and try and pick off a drone or two.
Definitely does. With close by air positions, both of these guys will be scouting each other. Well, Zenio finds him now, and that tells Vortex where Zenio is, so we will see his overlords promptly rerouted to the correct position. He
actually made it up there to the top left-hand corner, didn't see creep, didn't see a hatchery, and immediately started sending that one down too, so he had a pretty good idea.
That's actually super smart. And I was actually thinking about this, to be completely honest, because I was like, oh, surprise, both players went for 15 hatches. Okay, let me, I'm going to retract that statement and then say I'm surprised that Vortex went for it. Zenio, I would entirely expect to go for the hatch on this map, because he is not worried about Vortex going for an early pool, because everything's on the line for Vortex. And if Vortex throws this for his team with like an 8 pool or a 9 pool, he's going to be pretty upset with himself. So it's not an unexpected move here to see Zenio go with the 15 hatch, because he knows Vortex can't risk that fast early pool. Okay, well, we'll see what ends up developing now. Looks like a Baneling Nest coming up at the front for Vortex. No surprise, Baneling Nest coming up inside of the main for Zenio. So very standard stuff after all is said and done. The Zergling speed ends up being 22 seconds ahead. So that's going to be the window at which Vortex can sneak in with some Zerglings, try and poke around and maybe do a little damage. Ooh, and Vortex, well, if this has been mined off 3 the entire time, no, it didn't look like he bothered clicking on the extractor. He just saw speed being researched, but, you know, it would be ideal for Vortex to know that his speed is going to be done ahead of time, and that much ahead of time, but he never saw the gas timing early enough, so. And he actually doesn't want to reveal that his own speed is going to be finished as well, so it wouldn't be, well, let's see here. Zerg speed is going to finish up in 2 seconds, 1 second, and there he goes! There the afterburners turned on. Yeah. Well, Zenio did get in there and actually saw the gas timing earlier with the Overlord, because we only saw Zenio get information. So Vortex at this point is probably just going to play pretty defensive. Now, he had a huge scout there, but as you said, you know, he gave away his speed timing, and things are looking pretty safe on Vortex's end. He just finished a spine crawler. He's taking a second gas. He's got an evo chamber as part of his wall-off, I believe. Yeah, and he sees that the and he actually ended up seeing that the speed was finished up for his opponent too. So he sneaks back in here with another scout though, and gets a perfect time of when layer tech is coming up. So another valuable scout. And he decides to start his own right behind that, as well as +1 ranged attack. So, should be seeing roaches here in the imminent future out of our karont3 esports player, who also just dropped another 2 gases. So that's going to take him up to 4.
Yeah, I really.
So there's a second Evo. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the double. I like the double Evo route here, though. Seeing how early that Spire was and everything along those lines, he can get those critical upgrades ready to go. In fact, he's going to have a very nice timing again, where he's going to have a good upgrade advantage. Now, I don't mean to take anything away. Excuse me, we've mentioned the advantages that Vortex could be carrying. I don't want to take anything away from Zenio. He hasn't taken any damage, and even though he's been scouted at the very beginning, he gets his layer tech established a little bit faster. He was a bit more economical at the very beginning, and looks like he is actually up by 6 workers at the moment, even though there are a few finishing up for Vortex now. So he's been able to carry advantages of his own.
Yeah, it's pretty neck and neck at this stage, but each player ahead in certain departments, and we're going to see the fast infestation pit here out of Zenio. But Vortex, he is going for the double evolution chamber upgrade. So Carapace just starting up, and this is one of the things I really like about Vortex is he's willing to adapt if he thinks a certain path strategy is correct, but he's willing to sacrifice at the same time the things that he knows come along with, being more flexible. So his upgrades aren't going to finish at the exact same time, but he knows that this is more what he wants to go for here.
Oh, he's going to lose a base, though. That's pretty unfortunate. And Zenio's going to get a good scout on everything else. Now, of course, looks like Vortex trying to take one out of his own.
Yeah,
but,
this is actually bigger.
He was being zoned out by a bunch of Zerglings, and looks like this hatchery is very far down in hit points, but already the Banelings are making the way in for Zenio, and he's going to hold on to it just at the very end.
That is really good for Zenio here, as Vortex is now going to be in an extremely tough spot as roaches are on the field. And will +1 be revealed here, actually, because Zenio's going to get a glimpse of these, and you know what? He's flying it Overseer right over them, so he'll be able to see that +1 if he opts to click on any of those roaches.
And he hasn't yet. A little surprised about that, but he'll be able to ascertain that information fairly soon. But Zenio does have this hatchery all completed. Vortex, of course, morphing an Overseer right overhead here because that will actually keep that alive. It gets full hit points whenever it's finished morphing. Well, as long as he starts moving it afterwards, hopefully. Looks like we have another attempt at a cancel here in the top left-hand corner, and it works. This Roach is in a good position to take out a couple of Zerglings, but that is a huge blow to Vortex's game.
All right, but Vortex is gearing up for a very large attack here. He's going to have 1-1. He's going to have Glial Reconstitution. Zenio has Pathogen Glands completed, but he forgot to start his Infestors. Just now going to be queuing one of them up, but it's going to be a good long 80 seconds till that guy's done.
Okay, let's take a look at the
50.
upgrades. Has Zenio actually gotten... Okay, he did get +1 weapons, so we have a 1 upgrade advantage for Vortex right now, but this is still really rough for him. He's not been able to deny this third base. It's only been used for production so far, not economy yet, which I guess is... I don't want to call it the saving grace of that, but it does work towards Vortex's favor just slightly.
Yeah, but he's already had to throw away so many units in order to try to take it out. If only that Overseer had an ability to stare down, something of that nature, to finish that little guy off, but... Well, roaches are coming in now, but now there's Infestors on the field, so Zenio could easily trap these roaches if they're caught out of position even for a second or two. So Vortex is going to fall back and just kind of cut his losses here.
And Vortex is actually going after pure Roach Hydra, and this is something we've been seeing a few Zerg players that have been playing around with. You know, it almost felt like a blast from the past, but actually completely negating the use of Infestors, at least initially, because this is going to be a strong 2-2 timing attack behind a lot of Hydras.
Yeah, there's certain advantages to this. You know, Infestors, especially if you get an aggressive stance, you spread your units out pretty good. Okay, they throw down some fungal growths, hit your units, but as long as you don't get caught in that huge fungal or anything like that, the Infestors they are useless after they're out of energy, Kevin.
Yeah.
And Hydras are quite the opposite. So if you can bait out some fungals, all of a sudden your Roach Hydra army is extremely more potent than what you're looking at from Zenio's end. So this is going to be pretty scary, man, especially with 2-2 versus just 2-0.
Yeah, let's see
Oh,
here.
wow. And actually, Zenio is going to be making a switch over to Hydralisks. Maybe exactly while this attack goes on. You actually want Banelings, like, you want Banelings versus this.
Yeah. Contamination hitting the hatchery, though, and ends up stopping the inject for a little while. And any coins that would have been made from there. But for the time being, Zenio finally has the space up and saturated now, not just using it as production. We can see that Zenio does have a bit of a supply advantage at the moment, but that's all in workers. The army is actually fairly equivalent between these two players. 17 Hydras, 24 Roaches versus 36 Roaches and 7 Infestors.
Well, at this point, a lot of this is going to come down to the Fungals. Interestingly, though, Zenio's actually putting money into Hydras that won't have groove spines, whereas Vortex's will. So every penny that Zenio puts into Hydralisk is going to be a slight advantage for Vortex because of how they're looking at trading. Oh my goodness, look at this composition actually out of Vortex. He is very, very Hydralisk heavy here, and Fungals don't work nearly as well against Hydras as they do against Roaches. Kev, you know, that armored bonus does make quite a bit of a difference.
Okay, well, we'll see if he can actually close and engage this here in just a bit. 11 more Roaches being produced behind this. So, they are, you know, quite cheap units. He can throw them up and gather them with his force very soon. Now, this is a very strong play, and he has a lot of units on the map, but he does need to engage perfectly, because if he does clump up against this, these Infestors are still going to do some serious work.
That's so true, and you know, Hydras are slower units, so it's a little tougher off creep to get them split up appropriately. First Fungal is not big enough. He needs better than that.
Oh, he completely whiffs on one to the side, too.
Oh, this is looking pretty frightening. The Infested Terran's going down. There's a lot of spine, or there's actually that's one spine crawler. I don't know, man. It's getting pretty close. Looks like Vortex is going to be falling back for the moment. He's very ahead in supply right now. And it looks like a lot of that is 13 Roaches that will be streaming across the map. This is a very nice concave, though, for Vortex. The Hydras without groove spines in the back, not able to attack here for Zenio.
Yeah, and it didn't really look like it because Zenio put out so many Infested Terrans there. He put out so many, as a matter of fact, that it looked like he had a large army still on the map. But the fact of the matter was he lost a ton of Roaches. He was going into that fight with something like 36, 38 Roaches. At the end of the fight, he was down to 9. He lost 29 Roaches immediately.
Well, how's the Infestor energy looking here for Zenio? Because, as we're saying, all he needs are some good Fungals.
Oh, he has none.
He has none. He has absolutely no energy. His army is meager. He's got +2 versus +2/+2.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Vortex is definitely going to have the chance to seal it here.
Okay, well, looks like a couple more Infestors did end up joining. They're throwing out a couple of Infested Terrans just to do anything, but Vortex is doing a very nice job here. And again, he was winning that engagement, but he pulls back to not take any unnecessary damage. He doesn't want to engage when the Infested Terrans are up.
Yeah, because this is the thing, you know, the Infestors, as we were, it's exactly what we said early on. The Infestors had to land the Fungals because once they're out of energy, Vortex can continue to attack, and if you haven't dealt with his army, it's now never going to be dealt with because he'll keep poking here. He'll keep forcing Infested Terrans, and those Infestors will not get enough money for Fungal. We either need to see new ones hit the field. Actually, this is a huge thing. Zenio is pulling right now 1,800 minerals and 300 gas. That's a lot of production that he could have as units.
Yeah, I wonder what his larva count is at right now. Almost none, so his injects have not been the best. Looks like Vortex is going to continue pushing through the front here. Zenio, again, even though he has a decent concave until a few units decided to jump in from around the side, there were way too high of upgrades for Vortex for him to be able to engage that straight up, and he is now actually just getting crushed. Yeah,
there's just nothing to do here. He missed the Fungals, but, you know, his larger economy may have still been able to save him if he had been able to use it. He's dying actually with a huge bank, and that's why we're going to see him fight to the death here, folks, because that's just such a difficult thing to have happen to you.
Yeah.
He knows that he probably could have helped this.
Yeah, I mean, it's still been difficult. The upgrade disparity, the good control from Vortex so far, pulling back out of the engagements. Too. Yeah, exactly. Baiting out more energy in the form of Infested Terrans so they couldn't save back up the Fungals. All of that really worked in Vortex's favor, and he's continuing to reinforce. He's now up by almost 100 supply. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are going to have a tie set moving into game number 9.
Yeah, as things do finish up here, man. This is the third time we've casted with you in a row now. We've seen either 1-4 or 2-4 comebacks, and here we are, GG.
GG. Very well played out of Vortex. He's taken 2 games in a row against some incredible Korean players from Team Liquid. And now they are down to their last member as well.
We are at the ace match, guys, and it looks like... Oh, I love this matchup so much.
Yeah. It's going to be none other than Liquid Hero, the ace for Team Liquid. Karont3 Vortex, though, has won 2 games in a row. He's trying to make it 3. He's trying to complete the comeback. Will he be able to do it? The map is going to be Atlantis Spaceship. We're going to run to a commercial break. We'll be right back after this.